I'm going to go over the 75 hard challenge, my week one recap. My name is Dr. Eric Broadworth. I am a physical therapist in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I specialize in working with athletes and active adults and dealing with orthopedic injuries. So the 75 hard challenge is something that I've thought about doing for a while. Have gone back and forth on it and decided to give it a go and see how it's going. So I wanted to share my experience with you, some of the pros and the cons of the 75 hard challenge, and who this is for. And if you're thinking of doing it, some things to definitely take into consideration when before taking this on. So the 75 hard challenge, just to recap what that is. Okay, it's 75 days long. There are certain rules. So you have to stick to a diet, any diet. I personally am doing no sweets, and I'm trying my hardest to stick to a 40% protein, 40% fat, and 20% carbohydrate macros, and a cut. So doing about 2,200 calories total. My goal with it is to lean out a little bit and maintain as much muscle mass as possible. And then also I did some blood work before. So I used InsideTracker. If you're not familiar with InsideTracker, it's awesome. They take with the ultimate plan, which is what I did, 44 different biomarkers from your blood to determine where your levels are at compared with those individuals who you can compare to with, age and everything like that. So are you normal, or what do you need to do to tweak those? And they give you very specific recommendations. Highly recommended if you've never done it. It is definitely a lot more than your typical blood test that they do with a physician office. And there's just more detail and recommendations with those. So I'm curious to see how at the end of this challenge, especially with the diet part, how my blood work will change, if at all. So we'll find out. So the diet, that's always going to be difficult. Changing your nutrition and changing those habits, that's always going to be something that's difficult. And that's one thing I've found to be a little bit difficult, but kind of what I expected, really. Definitely hitting that 20% carbohydrate. That's a lot less than I thought. I've gone over on most days, and it's been more difficult to hit that low carb, even though I'm getting primarily all protein sources. To keep it, the carbohydrates low has been the most difficult thing for me. The other rule is there's absolutely no alcohol or cheat meals are allowed. It doesn't specify, though, what counts as a cheat meal. So for me, a cheat meal is going to be anything that is a sweet. So for example, my birthday's coming up. Went out with my family, and the server came around and was like, hey, you get a free 6 cookies with your birthday meal. Gave them out to everyone else because I can't have it. I would count that as a cheat meal. If you're doing like keto or something like that, definitely you could get a little bit more strict. For me, I'm kind of sticking with, if it fits into my macros, I'm not really considering it a cheat meal unless it is a sweet. So I'm not doing any types of sweets, no cake, donuts, ice cream, none of that junk. And then again, absolutely no alcohol. Alcohol is something where on the drinks or on the weekends, Fridays and Saturdays, I definitely like to enjoy a drink and relax. This is going to be a way to cut back on that. And I'm also curious to see how my body feels after the 75 days without any alcohol and without any sweets, right? With that both. So I'm hoping that I'm just going to feel overall better. Alcohol really doesn't do you any good. So looking forward to seeing how I'm doing with that. The next rule is you got to complete 2 45-minute workouts per day. One of them has to be outside, no matter the weather. This is more challenging than I thought. I thought this would be fairly easy. I'm used to working out like anywhere from 75 to 90 minutes a day. So I figured splitting that up into 2, really not that big of a deal. And it's been challenging when you consider time management. So the fact that it has to be broken up makes it more difficult. So what I have done, and this is a very important part. So if you are not a healthcare professional, and if you aren't familiar with fitness and programming and things like that, I definitely recommend that you work with a healthcare professional or a fitness professional if you're going to decide to go through this. Because if you think you're going to go run twice a day or something like that, that's going to lead to injury. So you have to be very careful with this, with how you structure it. So usually what I'm doing to structure it is, one is going to be a strength programming, typically some resistance training, weights, things like that. And then my second workout of the day is typically less intense. A lot of times it's walking my dogs, doing some yoga or light stretching. Again, one of them has to be outside. So I've been using walking my dogs as one of the modes for exercise for that second 45-minute workout. I do think that is good to get outside, breathe fresh air, especially when it's sunny. Get that sunlight on your skin is very, very beneficial. Do need to take precautions. I'm in Michigan, and it's winter. So right now it's really cold. So having to layer up and really be smart about those 45-minute workouts and how I'm structuring those. So the next thing is to drink 4.5 liters of water a day. So doing that, take a daily progress photo. To be honest, I'm adhering to that a little bit. I took one at the start. I'll take them as we go. I'm not adhering to that as much. And then read 10 pages of inspirational nonfiction each day. So that's been good to get me back on track with reading. And I have been sticking to that. It's forced me to really open up a book and read and not just rely on podcasts. So I do think that that's good. Really wind down, whether you do that in the morning or at night or find some time in the middle of the day. Again, the biggest thing with all of this, honestly, is preparation and time management. If you don't prepare, it is going to be very, very difficult. I think the more you get into it, though, it gets a little bit easier. I'm 1 week in, really. So I started, today is February 5th, 2023. I started on January 29th. So a little over 1 week ago. It's been good so far. I'm curious to see how it goes. Definitely the hardest part so far has been the time management for the 2 45-minute workouts, and then the carbs for the nutrition plan that I picked. And then, saying no to cookies also was a little difficult, but that, is good for you. It's meant to be a challenge. It's meant to be hard, and 75 hard. So what I would recommend, just being cautious with injury, work with a professional if you're going to decide to do this. Work with your physician, especially if you have any medical conditions, any past medical history. I strongly recommend you need to talk to your physician before you undergo this. You need to have a plan. You need to work with someone. So if you've got diabetes or something, like that, you do not want any adverse events, any injuries coming out of this. This is supposed to make you more resilient, more mentally strong. That is really the main purpose of this. Obviously focusing on physical health too, but just as much of this is mental health. So if you think that you can do it, awesome. I would say go for it. However, other things that I am cautious about when it comes to any challenge is that you want to take the lessons you learn and then carry it over into life. You do not want to you complete the 75 days, you went really strict, and now you're just going to binge eat or binge drink or go back to your old habits. Use it. You need to use this to grow. And again, being really, really cautious, especially with this one, with how intense that it is. It is very easy to end up with some health issues, end up injured, something like that. So again, if you have any comments, please put them in the comments below. Curious to see if you've done this. What are your thoughts? Comment those. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching.